I wonder if you could just describe your own first experience trekking through Africa and how that has influenced the building and creation of Abercrombie and Kent.
Well, it's lovely to be with you this evening. Yes, when I was 16, I had a motorbike and I decided to drive it from Nairobi to Cape Town. It took like one day to plan it, and I left with a shell map and some biltong and some raisins, and 3 months later I reached Cape Town, and that convinced me forever that I should leave this life forever and take people on crazy and wonderful and exotic experiences.
All right, well, let's talk about some of those crazy and exotic experiences. You know, one place to start is always the most expensive kinds of trips if you have that kind of lucre. Let's talk about the $100,000 around the world, I think, what, 24 days?
Well, we're so excited by the Abercrombie & Kent around the world trip by a private jet, which has 50 lie-flat seats. We'll be leaving, and we go to Machu Picchu, and then we go on to Easter Island, Samoa, the great paradise there, on to Sydney, where we have a private dinner and a private show. And then we go on to go on to Agra, and then Istanbul, and finally we end up in the Sahara Desert, where I will actually meet the group myself, and Marrakesh, and then finally that finishes the trip. But it's 23 days, and I'm really excited about it. It leaves in September.
All right, well, let's say that someone would rather forego the jet experience, but would rather take a ship. The Northwest Passage has current as well as historical significance. Tell us about that Abercrombie and Kent experience.
Oh, well, that has to be one of the greatest adventures of the world. We follow the old Arctic explorers. Amundsen was there in 1906. And basically, we leave from Greenland, and you follow the Arctic around Canada's Arctic, through to Alaska, and finally you end up in near northeast Russia. But it's really exciting, really adventurous, and very few people in the world have ever done it.
The Great Migration Safari includes not only the chance to gaze upon some of the world's most exotic animals, but also to do it in a particular style. I'm wondering if you can describe what someone who signs up for the Great Migration Safari would experience.
Well, what they're going to see is immediately about 1.3 million wildebeest. That's million. 600,000 zebras. And we actually have this wonderful Abercrombie & Kent luxury camp which has everything in it. You know, you have your own loos, you have your own really cabins with everything inside it, your own land cruisers, your guides. You see lions, you see leopards, you see hyenas, you see cheetah. It's actually the world's most famous trip to do, and you have to see these animals in your lifetime.
Now, one of the places that many people would like to see is the Galapagos. You have a lot of experience taking people there. Explain how Abercrombie & Kent makes that trip different.
Well, I went to the Galapagos many, many years ago, and I decided we should have our own ship where you can actually go through all the different islands, and then you can either snorkel, or if you're experienced, you can dive. And literally, I've dived there with 50 hammerhead shark above me, but you don't have to do that. But it's really magnificent. You see the boobies. It's really an incredible place, and nothing has changed since Darwin was there. It's really phenomenal.
Now, as far as traveling to areas that perhaps were off bounds, out of bounds for travelers, Myanmar and the Irrawaddy in, well, what used to be called Burma, that's also on the schedule.
Well, absolutely. And again, you know, I've been in Myanmar for many years, but I decided that we had to build our own ship. So we'll have our own ship, the Sanctuary Ananda, which will be launched in November, which will go all the way up the Irrawaddy and the Chinwin. And it'll be able to give you incomparable sights of everything, plus the luxuries of really a first-class ship.
Geoffrey Kent, in addition to the luxury aspect of this kind of travel, is this also suited for potential investors who want to check out different areas of the world but want to do so knowing that they are being given a certain level of comfort?
Well, I think, you know, many people want to travel to these unusual places, but what they also want is comfort, and they also want an assurance of safety that basically, you know, we've always checked it out. I've been to every place myself. We had the brand of Abercrombie & Kent on it. And I think, you know, those two things really concern investors. And also we can introduce them to key people should they wish to really study that aspect on their trip.
Now, Geoffrey, we've been speaking earlier about President Obama's speech at 9 p.m. Eastern to speak about the Middle East and U.S. involvement there. As someone that has been to many of these regions all over the world, have you seen any changes in the popularity of going to the Middle East or even going to Russia as these geopolitical events unfold?
Well, unfortunately, we have. Obviously, you know that since Abercrombie & Kent does suffer for geopolitical reasons, and we have seen. But I have to say that Egypt is coming back very, very strongly, and Jordan, and so I feel really encouraged about that part of the world again, in that area of Egypt and Jordan.
And just last point to you, Geoffrey Kent, your own experience. You decided to go in the travel business, move away from the military because of a personal episode.
Well, I had a little bit of high-tone deafness from being in the tank regiment for too long, but I can hear you all right tonight. But basically, you know, I've always wanted to be in this business. I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and still am, and will be growing Abercrombie & Kent for many years to come.